There is a complete system of ancient symbols which define everything. Here I'm using the symbols 1 through 9 to demonstrate this system. It makes it simple. Counting in these numbers 1 through 9, when we count, we are measuring in time and space. Or if we're counting objects, or if we're living by a schedule, the clock, which is numbers, in that we are counting time. We measure things with different tools. One of them is a ruler. And incidentally, when we measure things, there are two ways of measuring, which I didn't take into consideration before I looked at this system. We can measure the lines, for instance, on a ruler, and the spaces between the lines is another way of measuring. They're two different numbers. Now, when we are counting with these numbers, and we count constantly in our present day society with these numbers, constantly. We count days, months, years, age, objects, all kinds of things. We do math with it, with these numbers. And we compare things. We're constantly comparing with these numbers. We're competing. You know, he has 10 and I only have 5. Need I say more? We call success having a lot of money to count and material things, objects. And we have an illusion in all this that we own things because I don't think, can we own anything here? If it wasn't for counting the money and comparing and the way we live, we wouldn't own anything. In the 9 system that I'm showing here, all is in the now. And nothing is in time and space. In the base 10 system, a very creative system. There are certain things that I never saw before. I never saw them before I started work in the 9 system. If you were like me in school, in math, you probably found math very confusing. And a lot of people do. Let me point out some abstractions, some very abstract concepts and some inconsistencies, fundamentally. And then it may clear up why you were so confused. Counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. These are all whole numbers, whole placeholders, numbers. And they're defined as whole, real numbers in the textbooks. one of the inconsistencies is after 9, we get to 10, and that 1 is then put with a 0. And so 1 is no longer a whole number. It is a partial number because it's something else has its space with it. I find that very difficult when I thought about it after doing this work. And for instance, if we have, we're looking at ducks here, and these represent anything, people, objects, anything. In the 9 system, everything has a uniqueness. Everything has an individual uniqueness, and it's always there. And there are no two things that are exactly alike. So this duck becomes a half a duck in the base 10 system when it gets to be 10. And we say 1 plus 1 equals 2. Well, if nothing has a duplication, nothing has an exact duplication, then 1 and 1 is impossible. We can't add them together because they're not the same thing. And in the 9 system that I'm showing you, it's this individuality is a basic concept. And so even if we could here take this 1 duck and duplicate it and say 1 and 1 equals, could it really become another duck? If we count these ducks, 1, 2, 3, 4. One of these ducks has to be a 2. Can that 1 duck become 2? Also, we say 1 minus 1 is 0. We add that placeholder, 0. And in the textbooks, they say 0 is a real whole number. And yet it's placed with 1 at 10. So neither one of them is a real whole number. But 0 represents nothing. And I think different people have a different concept of what nothing is. Nothing is a very abstract idea. It's a very abstract concept. It's difficult. Moreover, when we multiply, multiplying is fast adding. And therefore, logically, multiplying the sums should be, in multiplying the sums should be higher, faster than when we add consistently. Because if things aren't consistent, they get complicated and we can't depend on it. 1 times 1 equals 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 times 100 is 100. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. 1 plus 100 is 101. 1 plus 1,000 is 1,001. The numbers are the same all the way through the ones. The addition is higher, faster. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 3 is 5. From here on up, the multiplication is higher. But that's an inconsistency. It's difficult. Everything in this 9 system of symbols indicates everything is a uniqueness. Everything has a oneness. And it also has a duality. If you were creating something, you would be creating something other than yourself, something added to yourself. And you would need a dual concept, a duality of some kind. Even if your individuality would be in that duality because it's yours. You created it, even if it's just your idea or imagination. So the one is dependent on duality in creation. And the two can't do without the one, its creator. So the one and the two have a connection because they are part of each other. The same way holds true for other numbers in this 9 system. 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8. They have a connection like the 1 and the 2. When we count in the base 10 system, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way up into what we call infinity. Highest numbers that'll go up and up and up, more and more, higher, higher, into oblivion. We call this an infinite number. And we could go down past 0 and all the negative numbers go down just as far, and we call that infinite number. In the 9 system, it defines infinity like the 8. It's a system that it spirals and it continues. It's never ending, it never begins. It's always moving, and it's another definition of infinity. In this 9 system, all digital numbers, all numbers not only have a connection with the numbers I already told you about, like 1 and 2, how they connect like that, but they also have a connection with an electromagnetic attraction, with a number electromagnetically. So any 2 digits that equal 9 are they're attracted to each other energetically. 8, 1, 7, 2, 6, 3, 5, 4. And the mirror images of these. This system has mirror images everywhere. So every number in this system of symbols has an attraction, has a connection like the 1 and the 2, and every number also has an energetic attraction like 8, 1, 7, 2, 6, 3, 5, 4. We can't count with these numbers. They're all connected in the 9 system. There are no numbers above 9. There are no numbers below 1. And it redefines infinity. Well, what about 12, I hear you ask? So many things are defined by 12. 12 is over 9. 10, 11, 12. 12 is a foot, 12 inches. 12 is a dozen. 12 is puberty. Well, 21, there's a mirror image, is adulthood. There are 12 months in a year. 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 rays of creation. 12 is the most prominent place that we have on the clock, noon and midnight. The chromatic musical scale has 12 intervals, and there are 12 hues in the color wheel. While we have 12 grades in school until graduation, 12 is everywhere and defines everything in time and space. I suggest to you that this is not the number 12, 10, 11, 12. It is the 1 and the 2. We can define everything in this 9 system. When we go back to these ancient sites and study them in the world, we find technology that's not like ours. But it's high technology. It's awesome. And it's curious that the further back you go in these sites, the further back in history you go, the more perfection you find. Isn't that curious? I went to school for 18 years because I have a master's degree. I'm not a mathematician, but I do have a master's degree, so I went to school for a very long time. And I find that I do not know very much about how my world runs. I don't know how a car runs that well. I don't know how an airplane flies. I don't know how nuclear power plants work. I don't know how even the basic electricity in my house really runs. I couldn't fix it. I don't know really about the plumbing system. There are so many things that I don't know, that I don't understand. And what we don't understand, we don't have command over. These numbers that are used for symbols, the concept here is that if you think in the 9 system, you can have more command of your life. Why 9? Everything in the universe works in this system of 9. 9 is environmentally safe. It supports everything. So it would support life. The system of 9 simplifies things. It uncomplicates things so that we can command anything that we want to understand. And we can experience and create more fully in life. Peace and harmony prevail in 9, as well as higher consciousness.